Hey, yo, what's up, guys? We're back for the now named podcast. And just as I say this, the fucking fan just turned off, man, which means everything is all in order now. So we're back. Canadian MMA Podcast. That's how we named ourselves. Josh is here. I'm here. How are you doing, my guy?
I'm good, man. I'm excited to break down these fights with our special guest too. It's gonna be a good one. Had a great card this weekend, and excited for some Canadian MMA action this upcoming one.
Hell yeah, man. We're ready for that. Just before we bring in our guest to talk about, yes, himself a little bit, but also the UFC card that took place last night. You'll see it's a very fitting guest. But just to talk on the name a little bit, because I saw that there was another, that was initially I wanted to name the podcast the Canadian MMA Podcast because like it's not like we're super known right now, so I feel like we need an algorithm friendly name. If we had like a super special name, how do people find us, so that was my first thing. And then I saw that there was a podcast that was named like that, but then I saw that there was like 2 20 minutes episodes, and that was like 3 years ago. So I decided that we were gonna take the name, and man, if the other guy want to come and claim his name, then we can maybe do a jiu-jitsu match to see who wins the name.
Yeah.
But yeah, so man, let's bring our guest. I don't want to make him wait. He's the one and only the champ, Caio Machado. What's up, bro?
Hey guys, how are you doing? Thanks for having me, and congratulations on the name.
Thank you, man.
Uh, yeah, very happy to be here. Whenever you posted about the podcast, I said I want to be one of the first guests, and here I am.
For sure,
How
man.
are you guys doing
Exactly.
today?
Yes. So when I posted in like months back about like we want a name for a podcast, and like Caio said, he hit me up. He said I want to be the first guest. So we made it happen. We had to. He's the champ. He's the best heavyweight in Canada right now, and we had to have him on as our very first guest. Really happy to be able to have you on. So we want to talk about the UFC fights. That's the main reason we got you here. But before, we want to know what's up with you, man. How's life been? I know you just came back from Brazil. You had a kid, so many things happening. So how's everything, man?
Everything's good. As you said, I just came back from Brazil like a couple weeks ago. I fought in December, then I went straight to the airport. Pretty much got a very well deserved vacation. Got to skip a little bit the winter in Canada, enjoy this sunshine in Brazil, the beaches, and a little bit of the warm weather there. And got with my family, so it was good. Now I'm back home, back in the training, and just start getting ready, get my head set for what's coming for 2023.
Yes. Any plans as of right now?
So I don't have anything set yet, but I believe that my time on the regional scene should be over. So I'm just talking to my team and managers and waiting for a couple for the offer, contender series, UFC, Bellator. I believe something gonna show up soon. I'm past the original scene right now. I beat everyone I had to do by now, but I think my shot should become like the next couple weeks, next month or so. Hopefully, it's a straight shot to the UFC. I don't wanna. I think I'm past the contender series, but let's see what comes.
For sure. So you were supposed to fight on the contender series, if I remember well. So what happened there, man?
So don't know with details what was the reason yet, but pretty much we had the fight lineup, contract signed, went to Vegas to do the photos and the video shooting for the contender. And a month, 3 weeks before the fight, they just emailed me saying that my visa got denied, and I had to pull out the fight.
Okay, so any did you have any news like from that since? Like
So
visa related?
So to reapply for the visa myself, and it's kind of expensive. So it's the money that I'm not sure I can afford right now. So pretty much I needed to get an offer from like UFC, Bellator, and they pretty much would put the bill. So it's a waiting game right now. So it's a weird situation. I would get a short notice fight, but I need a visa to get a short notice fight, but I need a fight to get a visa. So I'm cutting the loophole right now and just hope that that's figured out soon and I get to compete because I only fought once last year and that was definitely not enough for my standards.
For sure. But let's say there's a card either in Canada or Brazil. Then do you need a visa or you're good for these ones?
I'm good. Yeah, any Brazil, either Canada or Brazil, I'm good to go. I was wishing to actually had a shot at last weekend card, but nothing came up. None of the heavyweights got injured. Good for them. But I was really excited to see if the shot will come. But I think Canada should we should have a card in Canada sometime soon. So fingers crossed. My shot might come on that card for sure.
Yeah, man. That I think that's what's cool with you. You got like the double, like the double hidden card. Like you can be a fit for a Brazil card, but you can be a fit for a card out here too. And then from there, if you're in, it's way easier to get your visa to fight in the US
Oh,
than from the outside.
100%. Once I'm with the contract, if I do, it's just a matter of get the paperwork done.
For sure, man. So we'll hope for this in 2023. Of course, it's one of the main things that we want to see. That's what we're here for. We want to see you guys fight. But when you guys get to a level, we want to see you fight in the UFC. That's why it's cool for us to do what we do. Is that we get to know you, and then you guys move on, and then we can root for you guys and everything. So, of course, we'll be looking towards that. So, man, let's get into these fights. Let's say general feeling of the card for you. How was it?
I really enjoyed the card, but especially the main card, my feeling was a very one-sided card, if you know what I mean. Like it was good fights, good matchups, but most of the fights, especially that main portion, were like one side dominant.
Yeah, exactly. For sure, man.
But overall, especially in the prelims, they had like great fights, great like highlights. I think one of the Bonfim brothers that were debuting yesterday, he pulled like a flying knee from nowhere that was just straight up beautiful. And overall, it was a good card. Besides the booing and the crowd living the fight, they stay they're reading the end. And I think it was a good night of show.
Yeah, how about you, Josh?
Yeah, I thought it was a great card. It was like Caio said, very one-sided performances that we didn't really get any wars per se. They were, although there was Andrade versus Murphy and Glover and Hill, they were wars because it was all from one way, all one action. But it's great to see like Bonfim Bros do their thing. I was excited to see them make their debuts, and Almeida just keeps coming forward and destroying everyone. Now he's got a number next to his name, so excited to see what he does next.
For sure, man. To be honest, I think the card turned to shit when Shogun fought. Like, if you look at everything that happened before the Shogun fight, if it had continued that way, it would have been like the best card of all time, to be honest. But the way, first, the Shogun fight should have never happened, because I don't like the fact that they take legends and they put them against the young guys. But I understand why they do it, but I don't like it. But at least if you want to put Shogun against a young guy, put him against a young guy that's good. Because like I don't want to say that Potiera is trash, but I don't really consider him as a top level prospect in the future of this division. So like if you're gonna make Shogun lose by first round KO to a young guy, at least make it so that he fights a young guy that we should care about. And then just the way that Potiera handled like the whole post fight and everything, I just think it made the people really angry. And that's what led to maybe what happened later on with Moreno and everything. But because, man, I'm from Montreal, okay? So we know about crazy ass, stupid, bad crowds. Like, we're one of those, especially at hockey games when it turns to shit, like it turns to shit very bad and we break stuff in the streets and everything. So, like, I know about being in a crowd that's pretty crazy. And I feel like Brazil is always one of the best crowds, but if you make them angry, they can be one of the craziest crowds. And I think they were angry last night for some reason. Maybe they were right from some reason, maybe they weren't. But in the end, I don't want to put much more importance in the crowd than I feel like people are talking too much about the crowd today. And like it was, yes, at points maybe a little bad, but it wasn't that bad. It wasn't the worst crowd we've seen ever, like by any metrics.
Yeah, I agree what he's saying, but my point is like I feel bad for Glover. Like he just finishes a beautiful career. He's a legend in Brazil. He just poured his heart out. He's saying goodbye to his sport. And you look around, there's no one in the bleachers to see that. Like, I get you're frustrated. Like, I think people are very angry at Morenos and Figueiredo because of the doctor stoppage. Especially when it's against a Brazilian, they don't want to see the doctor stopping the fight even. Figueiredo couldn't see him with the eye. But I think that got the crowd angry, and whenever Glover lost, the way he lost, they just left. But it was a shame. He was a very good moment for him, a very good momentum to say goodbye in Brazil after a third title shot he had. I know.
Yeah, I see that. I see what you're saying. It's true that like it pains me to see that. Like Glover is one of the OG guys that I've been watching for like to be. He kind of came into the UFC at the same time that I really started to watch the UFC. So he's one of the guys that I've been watching for a while, and I just like so much how his later career turned out. Like to see a fucking 40-year-old guy just beating young guys like they ain't shit and just using like the good old like pressure jiu-jitsu game with ground and pound. It's like, it's amazing, man. It was out of some like 2008 shit, but he made it work, man. It was so great. But yeah, to see him go out like that, for sure it hurts, man. And that he's got nobody to speak to at the end. Like, yeah, no, that sucks. That sucks for sure. But yeah, like the thing that I was trying to say is that I think Shogun fight, that's when it kind of turned to shit. And then, like you said, after like very one-sided fights, and like in every fight you can like pinpoint one thing. I think the Johnny Walker is the only one that you can't well, and the Gilbert Burns one. But if you look at like Andrade and Murphy, like, yeah, it was a good fight, but man, should have been stopped by the corner. That was stupid to let the poor girl go out there and get, like, bro, she had nothing for her. That was very bad. Then you got the old Moreno situation. Was it an eye poke? Was it a knuckle? Was it? And then crowd gets super angry. Then he just flips them off. So of course they're very angry. And then yeah, the old Glover stuff where the question can also be asked that if you're the corner, do you stop this fight? But since you know that is the guy's last fight, you don't stop the fight. It's like you stop the fight for the guy to fight another day, but he's not fighting another day. So you let him fight. So I feel like it was amazing up until Shogun, and then it was okay from Shogun till the end. So kind of the two different, like a tale of two cards a little bit.
And yeah, it almost paid off for Glover, like staying in the fight, because when he got that mount position in round 5, I almost went crazy. I was jumping up. I thought he was gonna pull it off after being dominated, but Hill was just a crazy reversal. Got underneath him, and yeah.
Like I'll know Caio what you think about that, but my feeling is that Jamal Hill was way stronger than Glover. Because I feel that Glover, when he got him on the ground, he really felt like a guy that just got the other guy in a really good position, and that was focusing on like, I need to keep this position at all costs. Like the way that he was holding the leg on the side control, he really looked like someone who did not want to lose this position and maybe was hanging on too tight to the position, which led to an opening for Jamal.
I don't think it's about strength itself, but it's more about when he got kicked in the first or the second round. I'm not sure right now. that started Glover. And after that point, when he got the head kick on, it was just down here from there. Like he couldn't get his timing right. He couldn't have enough power or energy, and he just needed 5 seconds, 10 seconds to get his brain stop shaking it. But he was keeping getting beat. Was a bad matchup for Glover. In the way I see it is Jamal is way bigger than here. He's long and he has long legs. Glover's style is good on the ground, but he has short arms and a short like is close combat like boxing to takedowns. Once you get a guy that is gonna work at distance, jab and high kick, jab low kick, he was just gonna piece Glover apart. He was just piecing Glover apart. It's just body type situation, and he got started early in the round.
Yeah, no, for sure. It doesn't help when you're getting in like I think round 3 and 4, man, it was just bad, man. Like very, very bad. Like even if you look at the scoring criteria and the way that it is right now, like you could argue that both these rounds were like 10-8, close to 10-7. Like Glover, like it was very bad, man. To be honest, I did not enjoy this fight at all. I did not enjoy this fight at all, but I gotta give props to Jamal for sure. It was a good performance, and just to see him seize that opportunity, it's like it has to be inspiring for other fighters because man, that guy was just there. Basically, he was there and he was ready to fight, and he had a couple good performances, and he just ended up in a title fight out of nowhere, and now he's the champ, man.
Yeah, 100%. You gotta be ready all the time and seize your opportunity. If you got a title, if you got a contract, you gotta be ready to show up and perform, and that's what Jamal did yesterday.
Yeah, it's a pretty crazy scenario. I'm sure 3 months ago when we had Glover and Yuri rematch scheduled and we were just a few weeks away, you would never predict all of the different scenarios and everything that's happened from then. It's just now Jamal's the champ.
Yeah, like if I told you, like that's let's say June of last year, like bro, in 6 months from now, Jamal Hill is the light heavyweight champion. You're gonna ask me how can that possibly happen? Like, what's the path to this happening? And it still did, man. It's a crazy sport, and like, bro, 2023 has gone off to like already a crazy start, like in all spheres of the world. So I think we better buckle up, man, because this year's gonna be crazy. So. Let's move on to the co-main, the fourth fight, which was kind of weirdly enough the rubber match since there was a draw in the series. So it was kind of the match that was gonna like decide the outcome of this feud. And man, Brandon Moreno looked amazing. I kind of bummed out to see. The finish, to be honest, I don't think it was a high poke. I think it was a clear finish, a clean finish. But like to end a series of 4 fights, like you want to have that finish where I don't want to say you stand over the other guy, but like you want something decisive. You don't want the, like you said, Kai, at the beginning, just for the doctor to come in and decide that it's over when nobody's really ready to pack their bags and leave. So yeah, I'm kind of bummed out for that, but I'm super happy for the guy. He's like like Glover, one of the guys that no matter where you're from, is just very, very tough to hate him. And he's small and he's cool and he's just always happy. And I don't know, I like the guy very much and I'm super happy for him. Josh, what'd you think about this fight, man?
Yeah, I was expecting it to be pretty even back and forth, go the distance, and I was really surprised at how Moreno just took control of it, and he just seemed to be a lot faster than Figueiredo. And I raised the question before. I was curious at how the James Krause situation would have affected Moreno and how he fought, but I think the real question that should have been asked was how would Figueiredo look away from Fight Ready in Arizona with Cejudo, because I saw he was training in Brazil for this one. So I think that might have played more of an impact. Figueiredo not training with Cejudo and Captain America than the whole Krause situation and Moreno having to go to Fortis. So I thought it was on its way to being a definitive answer from Moreno at who the superior fighter is until that stoppage had happened.
Yeah, for sure. How about you, Kai?
Like I think was of all the main card fights was the one that had the most back and forth, but you could see Moreno had the edge pretty early in the fight and was starting getting more and more. As I said, it wasn't a clean, wasn't a high poke, so it was a clear finish. But it's sad to see that kind of fighting ending the way it did. While we were expecting a definitive endings of trilogy, whatever you want to call the four fights between them together. And we want to see someone like coming up in definitive and show who is the best. But I think for Figueiredo, it's about the weight cut too. He's a huge 25er. So if you see some photos through the week, like he was just the like skeleton last week before the fight. I don't know how much he had to cut, how bad that was on his body. So we know longer the fight goes, worse gets worse for you if you have a nasty weight cut, and maybe that the way I see that probably play out a massive in this fight.
Yeah, man. Because I saw on Twitter this week, I think was it on either Thursday or Wednesday? I don't quite remember, but there was a picture of him and he looked very, very bad. And I think they were saying that, like, oh, Davison only has 6 pounds left to cut to make weight for his fight. And, like, yeah, that's cool in the sense that he's going to make weight for his fight. But, man, how many days did he live just completely dehydrated, not eating and not doing, like, it's just bad, man. It's bad for your body. And it's like, if you got it, because I know some guys, they go all in on like day of the weigh-in, like morning of the weigh-in. I know some guys, they like to start cutting the night before, but I just can't imagine starting to cut like 2 days in and just being in. Oh man, that must be just awful. And to be honest, I'm happy about the result because I like Moreno a lot, but I'm also happy about the result because Figueiredo is moving up. And man, the 135-pound division is already my favorite. And like Figueiredo is basically mini Yoel Romero, and he's gonna fight all these killers. So it's gonna be crazy. Because the guy, like, just imagine like him and Sean O'Malley fighting. Like, most comical difference in frame. You got the small guy that's way too big to make the other weight class, so he's just small and thick and super powerful, and you got the like almost 6 foot tall bantamweight with like the infinite reach. Like, so many matchups like that are gonna be just absolutely crazy. And you just know that with the power and the athleticism that Davison has, there's like no way he's not gonna do good. Like, it's just going to be fast and powerful, and it's going to be a nightmare for 135ers. So I can't wait to see that too. And it opens up the division because now we won't see like a 5th fight and a 6th fight. And like, I feel like these two guys, like, if Davison was still there, he would have killed off every contender until there was no choice that he fought Moreno again. Mm-hmm. So now they're apart and they're both going to do their stuff. And I think it's going to be great for both in the end.
Yeah, I'm really excited for the future of the flyweight division now too. Like, it looks like we're going to have Pantoja and Moreno next, and that's a super intriguing fight, as we've seen Pantoja have 2 wins over Moreno. So just when Moreno thought he was done fighting Brazilians, he's got another guy that's going to be giving him hell in the cage, and give some time for like Royval, Kai Kara France, Nicolau to sort things out, and there to be another true contender ready when that fight takes place.
Yep, and Pantoja is like probably crazier than Figueiredo in his fighting style.
Yeah, and we got to think that a couple years ago we were supposed to, UFC was supposed to get rid of the flyweights. So those 4 fights help a lot to revive this division. We got new blood coming up, and now we have some exciting guys. Moreno coming back to the UFC the way he did. Like that's overall, we got some. He's like they made history. It was a good like 4 fights, and now both got to move on and like on bantamweight or in flyweight, and they're always going to be there. And maybe we're going to have a fifth fight in the future. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe, but we need some time now, man. It's been
Oh,
like
not right away for sure.
it's been so many Moreno Figueiredo fights in such a short period that maybe if we get like 2 years, 3 years from now, maybe we will. What? Because I remember the Amanda Nunes and Valentina Shevchenko when they had their rematch. First, it was an awful fight. It was just bad, and then like people were saying we don't never want to see these girls fight each other again, and now today it's kind of the only fight that people are asking for because they just keep beating everybody. So maybe it gets back to this scenario in the future. But then Gilbert Burns looking like a 1985 coke dealer in Miami, fighting Neil Magny in a very weird fight. Like not weird in the cage, but weird matchmaking wise, because like you kind of like I think the only way you book this fight is because these two guys want to fight and they're ready at the same time. Because like it does not make much sense. Like you knew that Gilbert Burns was way better than Neil Magny, and I just like how he showed it because Gilbert is very, very good, but he's had like a weird habit of sometimes maybe not doing what he's supposed to do in his fights and just getting into like fire fights and situations that are way too dangerous when he can just like, bro, he's one of the best jiu-jitsu guys in MMA, and sometimes he's just not using it. But this fight, he just used it, and as we all see, it was a very short and sweet performance for him.
Yeah, no, it was nice to see him get a nice submission because he's had some great grappling performances, but it's been a while that I can remember since he's gotten a submission, and he's just sunk that in like so fast, just showed dominance, and it was what most people expected as Magny's lost most of his fights due to good grapplers, and I was just happy to see Burns fight smart and not mess around on the feet with someone with that big reach advantage and get the job done.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah, like Burns. First of all, Magny is his game all the time. Like doesn't matter who you put in front, like, who you offer to him, he's gonna take the fight. I think that's what came to this fight. Burns wants to fight in Brazil very badly from what I heard from him, from what we've seen, what he's posting. He's being very vocal about what he wanted to be in that card, and pretty much the top of the division. It's very weird right now. Kobe, who knows what's going on with Kobe? Masvidal will be only fighting main event or for a lot of money. They don't have the Chimaev. We don't know if it's a 170. Don't know if he's gonna fight at 185. And you have the title fight. So who else would have for Burns? So at least he got able to fight in Brazil. Performance wise was very strategic, very precise, getting to the ground, like position to position, and got the submission like that. That's a flawless win at home. So what else can I say?
Yup, happy to see that for Gilbert. But that's what I said earlier on today on the French podcast, is that I believe that this kind of situation that Gilbert is in is a curse of divisions with lots of people, because there's just too many bodies to get wins over. And you just end up with the old top five being either like on a win streak or contenders. Like, like you said, Colby, Masvidal, these guys, they could be losing their two last fights. They win one and they're going to fight for the belt. That's just how it works. So I feel like welterweight, lightweight a little less these years, which is good to see, but welterweight has been like that for years. People, they just get to the top five, they're on a 6-fight winning streak, and they're not fighting anybody else but the champ. But the old top five is just there waiting for title shots, not fighting each other. So it's kind of a tough situation for these divisions, man.
Yeah, they call it the welterweight division because just no one fights once they get up there. It's like the top five just want to fight each other and wait for the title shot, like you said. But I think Burns has put himself in a great position now. Like he just gets one more win over Bilal or Colby. I think those are the two logical fights next for him, and he can be knocking on the door for another title fight, depending how everything else goes.
For sure, especially if Leon wins, that's a very, very interesting matchup. Leon and Gilbert would be amazing. Then Jessica Andrade, we kind of touched on it. The only thing I want to say is that she's the female John Lineker, and that's the best thing ever because John Lineker is a fighter that, man, this is just the best, man. I don't know why. Like I tend to have fixations on, like, I want to say random fighters, but like, let's say fighters that are not like top 5 contenders that everybody know. And John Lineker has always been one of them. And like, there's an old breed of fighters, especially from Brazil, that are just fighting like John Lineker. And Jessica Andrade is one, so that I like her a lot for that. Then, okay, my question. That's a very important question, especially for you, Caio, because you're specialized into these weight classes. If Johnny Walker fights like his 2 last fight, is Johnny Walker now a problem at 205?
No.
I don't think I like Johnny Walker. He's a fun fighter, but I think he's a middle of the pack guy. He doesn't have enough tools to work his way to the belt, especially when you start getting the wrestlers in front of him. Like, okay, Paul Craig couldn't get him down, but like once you're gonna get Ankalaev and
even Blachowicz and Rakic, they can shoot. They can shoot
Rakic,
good takedowns. Yeah.
Those guys that go work for the takedowns. They work more by the locks and not like Craig. If Paul Craig let the leg go, the fight could still happening or whatever, and we don't know what would be. That was a very poor decision to keep holding that leg and getting punched. But I don't see Walker having that much skills. And if you put him against a strike to strike with Prohaska, for example, I put my money on Yuri. I like Walker, but I think he's going to be a top 5, a very good gatekeeper for this division.
How about you, Josh?
Yeah, I think I agree with Kyle that he's a very entertaining fighter and he can bring in the fans, but I think that chin is a real issue. Like, I think Paul Craig was the perfect matchup for him to get a big highlight reel on this Brazil card in front of his people, and that's what the UFC wanted. But you fight someone like we saw with Jamal Hill or like anyone above him, really. I think even Anthony Smith could give him some problems in the striking just because he's very hittable and he doesn't react the best to punches that he receives. So I like to see him, but I don't see him getting much closer to the title.
Yeah, I guess we'll see, man. Like, the only thing I must say is that I kind of like what he did recently. Like, even in the Thiago Santos fight, it was a horrible fight, but like for the first time, Johnny Walker wasn't like, sometimes when you got something in your game that you got to correct, sometimes when you figure that out for the first fight, you can see an overcorrection, which I think is what we see against Thiago Santos. He basically went from the wildest of all wild men to a guy who is at range and does not throw strikes. And then I think he kind of evolved a little bit. Like, it's weird to say because he didn't fight. Like you said, he fought Paul Craig, then Ion Cutelaba. So it's kind of tough to say, oh, Johnny Walker is back, he's for real, because he beat 2 guys that almost everybody beat. But still, the way that he won these fights, it's like, I think it's the perfect mix of like the aggressive Johnny Walker with crazy techniques that we saw, but like a little less crazier than it was in the beginning. So I'm still like interested to see what's next. For sure, I don't think like he's gonna fight for a belt or anything, but I'm interested. I think he got me back a little bit because I was like very very down on Johnny Walker for the past few years. Then
One thing that I heard on Johnny Walker is before that Ion Cutelaba fight, he stopped using the CBD. So a new mythical fighter, if it keeps going like this, is no CBD Johnny Walker. He's got his head cleared and he's been going crazy.
No, yeah, that he doesn't have all that CBD fogging his brain. He's all good. So yes, then Shogun Rua. We kind of started the whole discussion on that fight, but man, it just fucking sucks to see him go out like that. Like we all knew that it was gonna happen, but like man, Shogun probably has my favorite fight of the 2000s. Probably has my favorite fight of the 2010s. Like the guy has just been like is one of the fighter that I can try to argue that he may have came to the UFC past his prime, and he still came into the UFC in 2007, I think, and like won belts and gave us some of the most amazing fights ever while being past his prime. So the guy is just like an absolute legend, one of the best ever, and I wish him a good retirement now that I don't have to see him get beat badly twice a year. I'll be pretty happy about that, to be honest, man.
Like for me, Shogun is a guy. It's hard to talk because hits hard. It hits very hard. Very close from home. We have family in common, so I got the chance to meet him personally. I went to his place in Brazil. Got the chance to talk to him a little bit. Great guy. One of the nicest guys I met in the sport, and one of the guys that, of course, back when I started fighting, started training, that was the guy we want to see, and all the crazy shit he was doing in Pride. By the way, that Pride trophy is huge. But we saw a lot of great stuff from him. The both Machida fights, the Nogueira fight, all his Pride run, and it's sad and the way it did. I think, as you said before, we could definitely put him against a more veteran fight. The best idea I heard was bring Machida for one fight contract and finalize and both careers with a trilogy in Brazil. That would be amazing. But at the fight itself, he wasn't doing bad. He got caught, and the chin is very damaged of years and years of being weared off. But up to that point he got clipped, he was doing good. He was playing like a very safe and very interesting game. He was, in my eyes, he was kind of winning the round.
Yeah, man. But like you said, is that like why doesn't the UFC want us to have fun? Like man, it's like it's not that deep. I get that you want to look like a very serious sports and contenders and rankings and all. Yes, I get it. Like you, because if you don't look like you're serious, you look like the WWE. But it's a very WWE thing to do to make the fans angry on purpose. And like, bro, why don't you, like you said, Lyoto Machida, if you don't want to do something special because you're the UFC and you don't do nothing special for nobody, then just fucking bring back Sam Alvey or someone like that. Like just give him Ed Herman, give him like another old veteran that's there. Like it's light heavyweight. There's some dinosaurs in this division. So just give him one of these guys and at least like make it fun for us. Like it's the final Shogun fight. He doesn't have to win. He just has to be there, fight, and be happy after it. Like not get like knocked out and ridiculed by a guy who then yells at the crowd for no reason. Like he just won I don't know what he thinks he won. He beat like 85 years old Shogun Rua. Like it's sad all the way around, and see such a legendary career because like here in Canada for us it's like GSP. I started like listening to that sport because of GSP. I started training because of GSP. So I'm sure for guys like you in the same age, it's Shogun, Vitor, Anderson, Silva, like the Lyoto, these guys, Jose Aldo. So man, to see him go out like that, bro, is just bad. I can't say it enough, man.
Yeah, it's too bad that they used up the Shogun and OSP fight a year ago back on.
Yeah, exactly.
That would have been a perfect fight to go out.
Yeah, that would be perfect. Like they're both super old. They don't really win anymore. Let's just put them together. Let's have a good old fight. But I remember that it may because it was on the same card as Rose and Esparza. But I remember that fight with OSP was a tough one, man. Tough one to watch. Then, oh man, my guy, RoboCop got knocked the fuck out, man. What happened there, man? Holy shit.
Yeah, I did not see that coming, but the whole time, like, RoboCop was doing good. He was winning the round, but I was just holding my breath. I just felt like it was coming because was it Nunes, his name?
Ferreira.
Ferreira, yeah.
Bruno with two ends.
Yeah, it felt like it was just a matter of time before he connected on one, and it was a dramatic one. Like right away, just perfect shot and put him out.
Yeah, well, I was watching with some friends here, and we were chatting over the fight. We could have said it back and forth, and RoboCop was doing a good job. But the second that punch hit, I said, "Oh my god, that came from nowhere."
Yeah, it was a crazy knockout.
The lid of the guy.
It was a crazy knockout. Me too. That was the point of the night where we were trying to put Oreos in cookie dough. So I was trying to do that, and then all the homies started just yelling, and I was like, "Oh, what happened?" He's like, "Oh no, your guy RoboCop just got knocked out," and I was like, "No, not RoboCop, man, please," because I don't know. He's like, I feel like RoboCop and Jalton Almeida, like they're both the sons of a different era of Jacare Souza, who is like one of my probably my favorite Brazilian fighter ever, if I'm being honest. And like Jalton is really like the grappling heavy Jacare, and Gregory is like the older Jacare who liked to stalk the guy and strike. And like, man, oh, my guy Jacare, man, he was just an amazing fighter, bro. Like the peak Jacare years in Strikeforce, bro, that was absolutely savage.
Yeah, I think for him it's just a shame that he never got the chance to get that chance to go. But again, a great fight, one of the best with Maya, probably one of the best grapplers in MMA ever.
Yeah. Oh, the time that he fought Roger Gracie in the finals of I think it was in the gi, so it was the Worlds, the Jiu-Jitsu Worlds, and Roger Gracie got him in an armbar and just broke his arm, and Jacare was like, "Oh, my arm is broken. I'm good. I can pass guard." And he passed guard and he stalled on top and he won. It was absolutely insane, man. But yeah, so the only thing I want to talk about is the final thing I want to talk about is the Bonfim brothers, man. Like, did you know these guys, Caio? Or
I don't know. I heard about those guys. I heard about them in the regional scene before, but I never seen them fight, and they look good. Like those are not debuting guys in front of a crowd like that. Like they look like veterans for sure.
yeah, and like that's exactly what I want to see, because I like my UFC product to be the best, and I feel like sometimes nowadays there's too many guys. And yes, I like the Contender Series. The concept is cool, and it makes that there's less Ultimate Fighter, which is pretty good because the Ultimate Fighter format is like more than dead and nobody watches this anymore. So I feel like it's a good way to replace the Ultimate Fighter. But like the problem with Dana White's Contender Series is Dana White. He's the only problem, because Dana White, the things that he likes to see is not the best MMA. it's like meathead MMA guys like going for finishes and like going all out and everything. But sometimes there's just like Anthony Romero, or you had the Brendan Loughnane guy who just won the old PFL season and he just shut him down because he shot for a takedown to win the fight. And it's just like sometimes they miss on that like elite talent, and they just sign guys that, oh yes, are gonna knock a guy out or get knocked out. But these guys, once they lasted like 4 or 5 fights in the UFC, their run is kind of over because they can't beat anybody. But the Bonfim brothers, which came from the Contender Series, it's like one of the rare cases where you get guys that, like you said, you look at them in the UFC and bro, they're just good. They're ready. They're well trained. They're veterans and they're ready to be there and to compete at the highest level. And that's exactly what I want to see when I watch the UFC.
And they both been in the regional scene forever. Like I think both of them has around 20 fights each.
Yes,
So
there's
they
the one who fought at 170 was 13-0, but the one that fought McKinney was 18-3, so he had 21 pro fights.
Yeah, and that's the younger guy. Yeah, I forgot his name right now. I forgot both guys' names right now. But the guy who won the flying knee. I think his last loss was against Moicano, like back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
So the guys fought everyone. Both the guys fought everyone in the regional scene in Brazil. They fought on the biggest shows, and like there's few places more competitive for the regional scene than in Brazil. Like we got the guys are not just good, but like I don't know what they put on our food. Like Brazilians are tough.
It's the acai, man. We don't have this out there.
Yeah, both of them were so impressive. I was a little nervous how they had the McKinney fight, and was it Ishmael? Was he the younger one?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I heard a lot of people picking McKinney, and I just didn't want the older brother to have to see his brother get finished. But I think it was they were both so hyped up in the back watching each other. It was awesome to see, and it was super cool how the fans get to see both of them on the same card in Contender Series as well as the same card now. So I'm really excited to see both of them. They didn't have very easy debuts. Like Munir Lazez is still a good fighter, and they just made easy work of them. Ishmael made McKinney look like he didn't belong in there, like a perfect defense, and McKinney was just loading up looking for the KO. But he that was brutal. I was not expecting that. I was jumping up screaming when that KO happened.
Yeah, it was crazy. And like McKinney, like not to put like outside stuff into fighting, but McKinney kind of had it coming, man. Like the guy he's a cool fighter and everything. If you're not on Twitter, it's cool because you just don't know. But if you're on Twitter, the guy is just like, you don't have to respond to everybody that writes stuff to you, especially on Twitter where like people are mostly very mean and very like trying to troll you into shit posts and to get a reaction out of you. And he's the guy who always gives a reaction back to everybody, like basically everybody. And like he got personal with some people on Twitter, like some random faceless accounts, and he's trying to get personal with them and stuff. So like I feel like there was many people preying on his downfall, and it kind of happened in a very bad way in that fight. And like he seems to, I saw he was at the beach today with the brothers, and they were taking shots and everything. So I feel like
I saw it.
Yeah, so everything's okay there. I think he's handling it pretty well. But sometimes, man, if you put that energy out there to people, even unknown people on the internet, it can come back in the form of a very brutal flying knee.
Yeah, no mouthpiece then either. That was crazy.
Two times actually. He lost once in the first time they got to the cage, and then he lost again, and he got knocked out of no mouth guard. I'm happy he didn't lose a teeth there.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. So, man, I think that's it for a recap. I don't know if there was anything else on the card that you guys wanted to touch on, but yeah, I think that mostly does it for me. So I don't know if there's something you.
I think just we gotta talk about Janet Almeida. Like for light heavyweight and heavyweight, the guy looks good. Like he's being a run. He looks strong. He is always imposing his weight, and like he was like 30, 40 pounds lighter, and he was handling his opponent like paper.
Was that the fight where DC was started drawing on the? Because I know during there he was trying to analyze the takedown and he was like getting so excited that he was drawing everywhere on the teleprompter. But like I think it was that one where he just landed like just a pretty cool takedown where he even like picked him up at the end to just and that was just for the show, man. You know that you can just complete this takedown like that. But he was like, oh shit, I think I can pick this fool up, and he just picked him up. But yeah, Jalton is this guy's a monster, man.
Yeah, it was a little scary. The first like 5-10 seconds of the fight, Shamil hit him with a right, and I was like, oh shit. But no, he just dominated like every other fight after that, and it looks like he's filling out a bit at heavyweight, so he might just be staying there and trying to make a run to the title there now. I'm guessing because he does look like he's putting on a bit more weight every single fight he takes at heavyweight. So excited to see him fight another ranked opponent next.
Yeah, I think just for heavyweight, especially when you start getting to the top tier where the guys hit harder and move better, you're probably gonna have to put a little bit more muscle on it or put a little extra weight because if he gets, I don't think he can take weights down, for example, with that weight difference.
Mm-hmm, yeah, like even if he fought Romanov next, who isn't a striker and doesn't move well, but he's a tank and he's massive, so that is.
Romanov can just like pass the first round and he has no more energy. So.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's got the Donkey Kong hammer fist though. Like if you got that move, man, you're it, man. You're the guy. But yeah, no, I wish he does not fight Romanov, but maybe later on, because like I don't really like prospect fights, to be honest. Like these guys just got to the rankings, like build them up, and once they're there, then do this fight. Is gonna be a big one, but he could fight like if you want to give him a grappler, maybe to test, he could fight like Marcin Tybura. And if you want to give him a striker, like, could he fight Tai Tuivasa? Is that too high?
Lewis.
Oh, no, Derek Lewis. That's my favorite fighter, and he shouldn't fight anybody that can knock him out.
Everyone can knock him out.
I know.
Again,
I know.
To survive for the first minute, it's an easy target.
Yeah, I think Derek's going to be running away from that one because he's stuck fighting Sergey Spivak already this weekend to go from that grappler to an even scarier one potentially. Oof. Yeah,
to think that Sergey Spivak is basically ranked and you got Jalton Almeida creeping up, then you're like, whoa. That's two different, like trying to do the same thing, but that's two very different type of athletes that you got there. Though Spivak is fun. Like he can win sloppy fights sometimes. So, man, thanks a lot, Caio, for taking the time with us. It was an honor to have you on as our first ever guest on the podcast, my guy, man. And whenever you got some news for us, hit us up and we'll have you back, man. We're excited to see what's next for you. So, man, major thanks for taking the time and everything, and have a good night, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was a pleasure to be on the podcast, especially being the first guest. It was very fun to chat with you guys and talk fights a little bit. And definitely, whenever I have some news, and hopefully soon, I'll definitely back in the pod and we chat a little bit more.
Thank you so much, Caio. Yeah, thank you. I'm looking forward to hearing about it. It was awesome talking to you today.
Thank you, man. There you go, Caio Machado, the one, the only, the champion, our guy. We hope that I really hope that we got some great news regarding Kai soon, because like, as you're gonna see, guys, there's a video dropping soon that was edited by Josh, and it speaks on the 10 Canadian fighters that we want to see in the UFC this year, and you bet that Caio is ranked very highly on this list because we've been waiting on that for a while. But like you said at the opening of the show, we've got some Canadian MMA action back in our lives for the next weekend, January 28th. And it's Fight League Atlantic 7. It's going to be a good event. I can't wait to just get on to some local action, and to some guys I know, to some interesting matchups. And to be honest, we're probably, in my opinion, going to see the best main event in Fight League Atlantic history. It's a young history, but man, to be able to put on a fight like Christian Savoy and Dorian Dokai, for people back there in Eastern Canada where they don't have much like action to sink their teeth in, to be able to go to their local event where their friends are going to be fighting, and to have such a good high-level main event that could, in my opinion, be highly placed on any card. Like you could headline a BTC with that one. You could headline a prospect fighting card with that one, and it's going to be great, man. So Christian Savoy, Dorian Dokai, what are your opinions on this matchup?
Yeah, it's a huge event. I'm super excited for this one. Like, I cannot wait for the return of Christian, and he looks like such a well-rounded fighter. Super good everywhere. I think the one aspect that we haven't seen him do a lot is jiu-jitsu, just because on the ground he's just an animal and just smashing people, going crazy, and super powerful on the feet too. So it's gonna be great to see him back in there after his little sort of hiatus during the C word and everything. But Dorian is super good too. From what I've seen from him, he looks to be very well rounded as well. I think both of these guys are kind of the future of that middleweight division and for Canada. So I just can't wait for this one.
Yeah, man. Christian is like, he was one of the fighters that was very close to getting that UFC. I know that there was a little bit like Caio, there was talks about him to like maybe get on the contenders and everything, but unfortunately he had that title fight for CFFC and he did not win, so that kind of blew his shot a little bit for 2020. And then, like you said, everything that took place, it was just tough, and especially when you're out there in Eastern Canada. But I know he was in Ontario training for this fight because I saw him at the Unified event. I had the chance to speak with him and everything. So I'm really excited for that because, man, he's an 8-1 guy. He's one of the like I said, the readier guys, the more experienced guys, especially in that middleweight division, which has been lacking in the past few years. Like, it's really top heavy. You got the guys that you know, like KB, Marius, Strania. But now that like Aaron Jeffrey moved on and everything, like there's like 3 or 4 guys, then lots of beginners. So to see a guy like Christian come back and to give a shot to Dorian, man, who is 3-1 and he's very impressive. The only his only loss, man, I was there for this fight. And it was not good, but he fought Ryan Loader, who is a wrestling coach for Team Alpha Male. Mm-hmm, I think that the guys at BTC, they had the plug because of Mike Malott, who's at Team Alpha Male a lot. So they knew that they could bring this guy in, and Dorian really wanted a good test in the grappling department. So they said, okay, you want that, fight this D1 All-American wrestler, and like you could probably expect a certain result, and that's exactly what happened there. But Dorian was able to come back in round 3. There was a brief moment where he was able to hurt his opponent on the feet and everything, and for all his other fights he really was able to showcase his ground game, which is also his first, as he is a Santos brothers jiu-jitsu guy, which I like because Leo Santos just gave me my brown belt, and Wagner Fabiano is basically the guy who gave my teacher his black belt. So we're close to the Leo and Wagner team in Toronto. So of course, I don't want to say there's a rooting interest here for Dorian, as I like I said, I know Christian and I like him a lot too. But no, man, this matchup, to be honest, to have this such early in the year when, like we said, we're a little like in pain because we were expecting a very good card last weekend and it just didn't take place, and now we're sad, but at least we're gonna have this fight, man. Then Derek told me not to speak about that one, but I'm just gonna say Jesse Hart, Sneaky Heinrich. That's kind of in. We don't know what's happening with that one right now. Might take place, might not take place. So we're not gonna break it down. But the other pro fight on the card is a very, very interesting one. Cameron Nelson has looked like a complete killer for Fight League Atlantic. Won like in a minute or some with a head kick, and then submitted the guy at, was it the last event? No, it was the one. It was Fight League Atlantic 5. So not the last one, the one before. And man, like he looks like a very complete prospect. I can't wait to see him fight as a pro, and he's got a good opponent in front of him, a guy that has fought some Muay Thai, as I think as a pro and as an amateur, has lots of good amateur experience, fought like guys like Zachary Powell and everything as an amateur. So now making the jump to the pro, and he's going to be a very game opponent for Nelson, which like I don't want to like characterize the matchup as it's like two pro debutants, so we can't really know what they're going to look like, but like Cam Nelson really looks like the young promising athlete, and you've got Colton Braden Simon, who is just, man, like a tough motherfucker who wants to fight and who's gonna bring in and who's gonna have the gas tank, who is not gonna be worried about like eating punches. And like, so sometimes these really athletic guys, they come in, and once they get a little adversity, it gets tougher. That not gonna be a problem with our boy Simon here. So that's gonna be a very, very good one. But man, I think I dare to say that outside of the main event, the most anticipated matchup here is gonna be Drake Farrell against Rory Gillis. It's a title fight. It's in New Brunswick. There's like 3 levels of MMA. Basically, there's amateur, then there's advanced amateur, and then there's professional. And I think advanced amateur, I think like, of course, there's no elbows on the ground, stuff like that, but I think there's knees to the face in the clinch. Like it's hybrid rule set between like fully amateur, when you can't really knee people in the face and use elbows and everything, and full on professional, where you can do all that stuff. So it's kind of the final step before you get to the pro level. And these guys, they've been doing very well for Fight League Atlantic. Drake Farrell won a MMA fight, but also all the submission kumites that they were doing, like I think the guy won 2 or 3 of them. He's a very, very, very good grappler with some great jiu-jitsu. And Rory Gillis has also been on a tear. He's fought Matt McDonald, the crazy redhead guy that fights for Fight League Atlantic. He fought him and won his last fight too. So man, these 2 guys, I think because the main event is, yes, a local guy against a guy from Ontario, but that one is like the title fight. 2 guys from, like, I say the area, but I'm pretty sure at least one of them is from another province. But like, since we're not from Eastern Canada, we just see all these provinces as one big province far from us. But yes, they're going to be the local guys. I think they're going to have lots of people to back them up in that one. And like, mark my words, I think that's, outside of the main event, that's the fight, man. That's the fight you wanna watch. Drake Farrell and Rory Gillis is gonna be a crazy fucking fight, bro. Then we've got 155 amateur Josh LeBlanc and Dylan Bjornsson. I've seen Josh LeBlanc fight, I believe. I'm just trying to do everything at the same time with topology here. But yes, Josh LeBlanc is like, yes, exactly, is the guy I've seen fight the most. He's got like 4 fights for Fight League Atlantic, fought on the first card, the second card, the 4th card, and the 5th card. He's 2-2 with Fight League Atlantic. His losses are to Matt McDonald, the aforementioned crazy redhead guy, and Luke de Saint Croix, who is like probably the best fighter I've seen fight on the Fight League Atlantic card. like another guy who I don't think turned pro yet, but like, man, he's just very, very good amateur fighter who's gonna be a very reputable pro fighter for a long time once he gets the chance to be there. And LeBlanc, yes, lost to him, but it wasn't like that bad of a loss. He got triangle choke, but like he was doing some stuff in that fight before getting submitted. So it's not like he just like came in to be a warm body for the other guy. Then Zach Young, Levi Nickerson. I remember Levi Nickerson too. I saw him fight at least once. Where is he? He's there. Yes, he's 1-1 as an amateur according to Topology. Both of these fights for Fight League Atlantic won his last fight against Jesse Hopper, guillotine in round 2 against Zach Young. I don't think I recall. He fought at Fight League Atlantic and won by knockout in round 3. Then the most that's the name fight. You know, I'm a big fan of names. I don't know if you know that, but I like names, man. I'm there for names, like fucking weird names. And like that's gonna be a crazy tangent, but I don't know if you know, but the WHL has the best names.
Oh yeah, like the hockey league.
Yeah. Oh, bro. You look at the WHL draft and you're gonna see some of the craziest names. There's basically a 16-year-old guy that got drafted this year. I don't know to which team, but he's named Kanye Wang.
Yeah, I remember watching some Victoria Royals against, I forget who it was when I was younger, and seeing Matthew Dumba, him playing, and he's in the NHL now, I think, but there's some crazy ones.
Yeah, so all that to say, this next fight is amateur 145, and we've got Greg Dykstein against not Ali Abdelaziz, but Abdelaziz. The one, the only Abdelaziz is going to be there. I don't know if they're related. Is he his cousin, his friend, same nationality? Not even. I don't know. But, bro, his name Abdelaziz. And when you're in MMA and you see a name like that, you're like,
Yeah, I thought after Leon won, I thought for a second that he was taking it into his own hands.
He's like, fuck that, I'm coming back. Did you see like these video montage of fucking Ali Abdelaziz getting submitted in all his fights? He's always getting submitted by armbar.
No, I gotta look at those after this. I love seeing Ali take the piss.
I think that's like common passion for almost every MMA fan. Okay, so then James Richardson, Connor Sorensen, that's amateur 145. We've got the guy Colby Livingston. That's a cool name too, but for no reasons, like two normal names, but I just like the combination. It sounds well to my ear. He's fighting Sam Rhino, not like a rhino, but Reyno. Rhino? Who knows? Chris Beck fighting Bryce Tracy. And finally, Simon Plummer fighting Brendan Sutton. That's you guys, not to come back on the WHL guys, but there was a guy named Chris Plummer, and his first name was not Chris like CH or even with a K. It was KRZ. Chris.
Okay. Yeah, that's not one you see every day, but yeah, to go back to the Nelson and Colton Braden Simon fight, I'm super excited for that one. Like, as you said, Nelson looks super well-rounded and looks very well, and Colton he fights super entertaining. So I think that one's going to be a great pro fight. They're both debuting, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's going to be it's always really cool to see two guys that are debuting because you never know what you're going to get, because there's instances like Mitch Chisella versus J.R. Cuevas and then Samson Bieri versus Brendan Lebrec, where it's just a madness for 3 rounds straight and just an all-out war. So, yeah.
Do you know, I'm trying to see, like, how do you watch Invicta nowadays?
Honestly, I have no clue. I remember seeing it was on YouTube a few cards ago, back in like November or something when I watched it.
Oh man, these promotions that they're like, hey, watch our fights, but like it's never at the same places, and it's kind of tough, man. Oh, I think it's on the YouTube channel. Okay. So I guess I could watch the Katie Soul fight because I know Katie Soul fought. For those who don't know her, she's a Canadian fighter. She now lives in Ireland because she's the girlfriend of Brad Katona. So they train together and live together in Ireland, and she's repping Canada still, fighting for Invicta and all these promotions. And she had a good year last year. She came back from having a negative pro record, and she has some wins and everything. But unfortunately, she lost at this Invicta 51 event that was taking place in Denver, I believe. Yes, exactly, in Denver, Colorado. So she was fighting against a Brazilian girl named Ryan Dos Santos, who had like 20 pro fights. She lost by decision. So I didn't see the fight yet, but man, props to Katie Soul for being the first Canadian fighter to get into a fight this year.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, new milestone. I also saw Hugo, is it Guillaume?
Yep.
Yeah, he got the win over at Aries, the former Samurai fighter. Got the decision win to open the card off. So shout out Hugo. Good job, Samurai veteran, getting it done.
Yep, that guy's gonna be good. I think in the future he's probably gonna be a guy that we're gonna see in the UFC and everything. I did not watch this fight too, man. I'm bad at watching other fights than the UFC, to be honest, man. I gotta get back on my stuff, but it's been tough, man. It's been tough. There's so many UFC fights that sometimes it just feel like when you got a Friday night that you can do something else than sit and watch like LFA or Invicta, or like I just take that opportunity to do something else with my life and feel good about myself a little bit.
Luckily for you, no UFC next weekend, so you can just focus on FLA 7 and those boys over in the East. They get wild. Those fights are like so crazy. So I'm excited for some big finishes and just wild fights.
And I'm gonna have a camera there too, man. I just learned that like 1 or 2 days ago, which is pretty crazy because like Etienne, who works, I won't say works, but helps out on the page because I'm not paying him for shit, so I can say he worked for me. But he's doing the podcast here and there, and he's doing the new Samurai MMA podcast that somehow is shown on my page on Facebook, which is something I did not know until it just got showed, and I was like, yeah, guess I got a new podcast on my page that day. But yeah, of course I'm really happy about it. But yeah, so Etienne he's going to the Fight League Atlantic event. Like he asked me randomly, hey, you're willing to come to Moncton fucking on next weekend? And I was like, not really, to be honest. It's like 10 hours away, and we're in the winter, and it gets bad, like because it's next to the sea, basically. It's next to the sea, but we don't got like the whole ass mountain range that blocks the bad weather from coming in from the other side. So when the bad weather from the lands and the bad weather from the sea meets, it gets pretty crazy sometimes. And it just like, bro, I know some people that like when you go to very far east, Quebec, or even like the eastern provinces, like if there's a very, very bad snowstorm, you may not be able to come back. Like it's just the way it is sometimes. Like there's roads that are next to the water, and it just gets like water on the road, or very, very bad snowstorms where there's just snow all over the highway, and there's just not much work being done on the road back there because nobody lives there. So yeah, if you get in a bad snowstorm, you might just get stuck there. And I was not looking forward to getting stuck in New Brunswick next weekend. So yeah, I'm passing my turn. I'm gonna look for maybe this summer, because I want to go to Fight League Atlantic. I like what they represent, to be honest, mostly. But I also like the show. I like the way they put it all together. I like the fact that they're having amateur fighters that they're building up, that we get to know them before they turn pro, and I like a lot of the stuff that they're doing, and mostly I really like Derek, the guy who's running a promotion. So of course I need to make my way back there, but bro, like not now, man. It's fucking all January, February, man. It gets ugly back there. I know you fuckers, you just don't like. What's the weather right now?
Probably like around 5 to 10 degrees Celsius, just some rain. But yeah, if it ever gets below zero, we're freezing out here.
Because when I was there in September, there was snow, and I know some people were like, I know just after I left, there was like an old fuck up with planes at YVR, and everybody were super mad because like there was snow and everything.
Yeah, we usually get snow for about like a couple, maybe a week straight, like a week of snow every year, maybe sometimes twice. Like sometimes we'll get it a bit later on in February, but yeah, I had like my whole trip got moved from the 22nd all the way to January 1st because of all that snow. Like we get a bit of snow here and the whole city shuts down.
Is that your cat going crazy?
Yeah, I'll be right back, bro.
No, don't worry, it's cool, man. I
don't know what the hell's going on over there, but I knew that I couldn't get through the whole podcast without some shit happening with my cat.
Oh, that's very cat-like, you know. When I'm on mostly when you got dogs, they just want to be next to you and sleep. But cats, I don't know why. When you're up to something, they can feel it and they just want to bother you, man.
Yeah, they can't let you do something without them being there and messing it up.
Yeah, so that means like we're in because when am I coming? 2 weeks, 3 weeks? So it'll be it's gonna be cool outside, right?
Yeah, it won't be too bad. It'll be around like probably 10 degrees Celsius. I know Vancouver, when I went over there for BFL in December, it was a lot colder over there than in Victoria here. But yeah, it won't be too bad. Probably like worst around maybe 3 degrees Celsius. But yeah, a lot better than over there, I bet.
Yeah, man. No, we just started like having those, like when it gets the first nights under -10, then you know that like winter is just it's starting for real, and then it's not far because we can go a little while with like having days where it's like -1, -2, -3, and it gets a little colder at night. But when it starts to get past -10, like a week later, and it's like -15 every day and -25 at night.
Yeah, no thanks, man. I'm okay over here on the West Coast. I don't want to be having to run my car for 30 minutes before I go and doing shoveling and all that stuff. I'm too tall to be shoveling. I'll make my back die. I'm staying out here.
No, I know that like shovels and everything, that's not designed for tall people.
No.
And even fucking how would that be named? Fucking thing you scrape your car with.
Oh yeah, I don't even know what they're named, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, like these things, like we're in Quebec, man. They're supposed to be like good, like quality stuff, because you know it's gonna like, because I think that's the bad thing here. Because at least in Alberta, like it's fucking freezing, bro. It's super up north. There's like basically sometimes there's snow in May, and there's snow in like end of August. Like it's just bad. It's bad all around. But here, like we've got the most bipolar weather ever, man. Like it can be like -15 for 2 weeks, then it's like 10 degrees, and then it goes back to -10 something, and like there's a day where it rains outside, but the day after it's like super cold, so all the rain freezes, and then there's snow falling. So we kind of have to be ready for all of that shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
we don't have the proper equipment, man. It breaks in our face, and everything is just fucking. It's trash, bro. It's trash.
You can always use the debit card or credit card to scrape the car windows off if you don't got that thing. But over here, it's like a bit less harsh version of that, to where it's not getting super cold or hot a day after another, but it'll rain for 30 minutes, then be sunny for 30 minutes, then go to cloudy, and it's just, you never know what's going to be next.
Yeah, but even the rain, man, is not like, it's not rain that you can do shit.
It gets pretty intense sometimes where you just, you're forced to stay inside pretty much. If you don't have a car or anything, good luck getting out, because you're going to be soaking wet like you just jumped in a river when you get to where you're going.
Yeah. I don't know. It's maybe because I'm out there. I'd say just give me the rain, and like I can like just not deal with all of this other bullshit. But
definitely a lot better.
yeah, who knows? So man, I think that'll be it for this week, bro. It's that. I don't think we got much else to speak about. We spoke to Caio. It was great to talk with him. Good, always good to see his perspective on that UFC stuff, since he's a fighter and he's Brazilian, so you know that like all the Brazilian stuff will touch him a little more specifically. So it was cool to hear from him. Then we can't wait for that Fight League Atlantic card next week. We're gonna recap this like fight by fight. We're gonna take a look at everything that happened and all of that, and that's why we started this podcast. So I'm excited for that one. And then, bro, I guess we'll take a look at what we do for the coming weeks. Just pray to the MMA gods that they give us some news to cover. And we'll be there, and we'll be. If there's nothing to do, let's just fucking talk about football or anything else. I don't care, man.
Yeah, hopefully some fights start getting to be announced for us for the next couple weeks for all those March cards, because like we saw last week, it's going to be a super busy month of March for just, not even to mention UFC, but that first like 2 weeks we've got, I think, 4 cards to look forward to, as well as the BFL to kick off March at the end. So hopefully some fights get to be announced so we can break those down, some like little early previews of the fights. And yeah, big shout out to Caio for being the first guest on the podcast. It was awesome to break it down with him, and looking forward to recapping FLA 7 next weekend. It's going to be a great card.
Yep, for sure, my guy. And thanks a lot once again for taking the time, bro. It was a good time. And now I'm headed to work, because that's the bad part of the night. But yeah, let's do that. Thanks to everybody for listening. Fucking see you guys next week with some new Canadian MMA stuff, hopefully. Bye.